Hi friends, today we're going to talk about so many ways that we can show addition of large numbers. In third grade, we're working with 3-digit plus 3 digits numbers, and so let's just dig in and see some of the neat ways that you can show your thinking in addition. One of the first ways that we learn to build a number is with place value blocks. And since you don't want to draw the place value blocks exactly, we can just kind of show a model of them. First, we would build the number 145. There's the 100 block. There are 4 10s, and there are 5 1s. I just built 145. Now I'm trying to add 266. So I'm going to build 200, there's 60, and 6. So all I did was just build 145 and 266. And I'm just looking at it like it is place value blocks like we use in the classroom. I always start with my ones. If I look at the ones here, I have a total of 5 plus 6, which equals 11. But I cannot put 11 in the ones place. I can only have one number in the ones place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group 10 of them together and move them over to the tens place. So now I have an extra 10 over here, and I just have 1 left, so I can put a 1 here. Now it's time to move over to my tens blocks. So here you can see I have 4 plus 6 and my extra one that I moved over. 4 plus 6 is 10, and then one more is 11. Again, I can't put 11 in the tens place. So I'm going to have to group 10 of them together, which I know that 4 and 6 is 10. And I can move those over because that makes 100. So I'll add a 100 block there. So that just leaves me with 110 left. Last but not least, I'm going to move on over to my hundreds blocks. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 hundreds. So I know that 145 plus 266 equals 411. Let's look at this problem the exact same way, but instead of drawing pictures, let's use numbers. I'm going to write 145 in expanded form. It just shows the value of each digit. Now I'll do the same for 266. Now we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. Let's get started in our ones place. In the ones, I have 5 and 6. When I add those together, I get 11. But again, I cannot have an 11 in my ones place. So I'm going to have to put 1 here and move 10 here. Now I'm going to look at my tens place. In the tens place, I have 60, 40, plus the 10 I added. I know that 60 plus 40 is 100, and 10 more is 110. But I cannot have 3 digits in the tens place. So what I'm going to do is take 100 and move it over to the hundreds. Now I'm just left with 10. 1, 10. Now I'm going to move over to my hundreds place. Here I have 200 plus 100 is 300. Plus the extra 100 I moved over, which is 400. Nice. Now everything's nice and neat, and I can add together 400 plus 10 plus 1, which is 411, which is the same solution I had when I used the pictures. Some people like to use a number line to show addition. In addition, we are going up the number line to a larger number. Let's start with 0. What I usually like to do is I take my first number and I jump to that on the number line. So I've taken care of the 145. Now it's time to take care of the 266. I like to break this up in smaller numbers because I don't know 266 plus 145 in my head. So I'm going to break it up into expanded form to help me see smaller numbers in the number. Okay, well, if I first start looking at the hundreds, I've got 200. I can do that. Plus 100 would land me at 245. Plus another 100, I would end at 345. So I've done that. I still have 60 plus 6 left to go. So now I'm kind of looking at 345, and I think I want to break this up. This 60 could also be 30 and 30. I'm going to try a hop of 30. Okay, so I know that 10, 20, 30 would land me on 355, 65, 75. That was plus 30, so I've taken care of that number. Now I want to go 10 more, that's 385, 10 more, 395, 10 more, 405. I took care of that 30. But I'm not done yet because I still need 6 more hops. I think I'm going to break the 6 into a 5 and a 1. So 5 more would get me to 410, plus 1 more would land me at 411. So as you can see, the number line method is really just breaking the numbers into smaller parts and counting up on the number line until you've reached the sum. For the bar model or strip diagram, at this time I really just want you to see what an addition problem looks like. An addition problem is when you know 2 parts, in this case 145 and 266, and what you're trying to find is the whole thing. The whole is missing. You know the parts. We'll use this more in problem solving this year with our word problems. Another great way to check your work is to round, and we call this estimating. I like to round to the nearest 10 with these numbers. 145 is closest to 150. 266 is closest to 270. I'm going to add these two numbers to get an estimate of my sum. 5 sevenths, 12. So I know that 420 is an estimate of what my sum is. Now it's time to check with the inverse operation. The inverse operation means opposite. Since we've been doing addition, we know that subtraction is the opposite. First, let's solve our addition problem using the regular standard algorithm. 5 plus 6 is 11. I keep 1 here, and I move 110 to the left. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 1 more is 11. I keep 110 here and move the 100 over to the hundreds place. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 more is 4. So I've decided that I have come to the sum of 411. Now I'm going to check this by moving my sum to the top and then I just move this number over, 266. Now I'm going to check my work using subtraction. First, I start in the ones place. 1 minus 6, I can't do. So I go next door, and I borrow a 10 and move it over here. My 10 and my 1 together make 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. 0 minus 6, I cannot do it. So I move over to the hundreds and borrow 1 and move 10 over. 10 plus 0 is 10. Now 10 minus 6 is 4. And finally over at the hundreds, 3 minus 2 is 1. I know that my sum was correct because these numbers match. I just checked my addition with the inverse operation. Now it's your turn to try showing your addition in these various ways. Why don't you try it with 233 plus 185? If you're in my class at school and you bring your work, you can get tickets for doing such a great job. What I would suggest is just going back to the beginning of the video and doing each one step by step to get the help that you need. If you have any questions, contact me anytime. You're going to do great.